Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Hi, I'm Leah, the host of Bridechilla, the podcast to help you stay cool, calm, and collected during your wedding journey.
Hello, and I'm Gareth, and I'm the host of the Somewhere on Earth podcast, the global technology podcast, and I'm in London. Remind us where you are, Leah.
I am in Cleveland, Ohio, in the United States, also known as the home of rock and roll.
Right, so here we are. Should we just remind people why these two podcasts have joined together in matrimony?
Well, I think we have a lot in common with technology, as we're finding that, your love of tech all over this earth. And in wedding and events, we're finding that tech is helping lead the way to help give couples a cool, calm, and collected day, like we preach here at Bridechilla. And I'm excited for our discussion today to dive more into AI and intimacy tech, which is new to me completely. So I know our couples, it's going to be new to a lot of them as well. So very excited for this.
There we are. So we have something for everybody, whether you're in the Bridechilla audience, you have a wedding coming up and you're tuning into Leah because you have this big day coming up and you want all that love and all those brilliant ideas and tips and suggestions. Or if you're just a general technology nerd, whether you're married, whether you're thinking of getting married, whether you're in none of those categories, doesn't matter. We have something for you. It is genuinely fascinating, and you get to enjoy Leah and I having a good time here as well on this this wedding podcast, this marriage between two podcasts. As you can tell, I'm mildly excited. Here we go.
I do.
Me too.
Today, the cutting edge, intimacy tech, virtual reality, and of course, AI.
Yes, and how immersive tech can link you and your guests from across the world in real time, or if you wish, time shifted.
Well, that's very Doctor Who of you. Your remote guests can choose their viewing angle and be in the front row seats for the vows, and it's all right here on Bridechilla.
And the Somewhere on Earth podcast. And every edition, whether it's a special wedding edition or not, but this is how we do it on Somewhere on Earth, is we always have our special guest, and I think Bridechilla has a very similar format as well. So today it's the excellent Ghislaine Boddington. She's an artist, curator, director and presenter, known very well to Somewhere on Earth listeners. But what else do we need to know about Ghislaine, Leah?
Yeah, Ghislaine specializes in the human of the future, body-responsive technologies, and immersive experiences. So, Ghislaine, welcome to the show. Welcome to our little joint party here.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to join you. It's quite a special topic, and I do know quite a lot about it. So,
well, I'm excited to dive into this. And so, for those of us that are unfamiliar with this, what is intimacy tech?
Well, it's an area. It's one area of the evolution of a much bigger area that I work in a lot, which is called digital intimacy. The development of how we are intimate, more trusting, more empathetic with each other within the digital realms. So it's a growing sector, and it produces products and services which enable couples of all types to stay connected in an intimate relationship, and often, of course, at a distance. So it has had a big growth surge, and this will be totally understandable to the listeners post-COVID, when many more couples were separated from each other from weeks and months in forced distance relationships, actually. Some of them, maybe, they weren't even far away from each other, but they couldn't go to each other's houses. But of course, it's also very much for couples who have to live in different countries because of work or families or whatever. And it has got an aim, which is about counteracting loneliness and that lack of in-person, personal interaction that we all need in our lives. And it's using lots of tech developments in the sense interaction area to maintain healthier relationships.
And what about some of the devices and gadgets involved then? Like smart rings, for instance. Say, where do they come into it?
Yes, smart rings are very in at the moment, partly linked to the growth of rings in the fitness area too. They allow couples to see and see lights and feel vibrations, which reflect each other's heartbeats. So it's like a Bluetooth connection scenario. But there's also touch-activated wearable bracelets where one person can tap their bracelet to let the others know that they're thinking of them. And the person at the distant point feels a soft, gentle vibration or a light pulse so that you know your partner's got you in their mind at that moment. And in the future, I think we're going to be, well, there seems to be these developments happening around silicon pads, which will allow users to send kisses. So kissingers rather than messages, kissingers, sending a kiss via the pressure pad. And, I think that feels a lot more intimate to me than this massive overuse of heart emoticons that we have in today's life.
I call that the modern day Egyptian hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
That's what emojis are to me.
There was a very early development in this called Pillow Talk, which I knew the company that started it, and that really set off a lot of this. It was like simulating your partner's heartbeat, which would happen in your pillow at a glow and play the sound of your heart, and that was a real starter, a pioneer in this sector. And of course, there are a lot more intimately connected toys out there, which are more and more popular today.
Yeah.
Including, I won't go into lots of detail here, but one of the ones I think is quite lovely for this discussion is haptic gloves, where couples can feel like they are holding hands when in VR and virtual worlds.
But sensations can happen in other bodily areas as well. And I don't mean to be crass at all,
Yes.
but hey, it's not intimacy tech for nothing, So,
No,
yeah.
it's true.
no.
It's important.
Very
It's
important.
important. Because when you're apart that long, let's be real, when you're apart that long from your partner, I mean, you're losing the sexual intimacy there. So this is a way to help keep that alive. And I think a lot of partners struggled when they have to be apart for a long time on business trips, for example. Because I don't want to say out of sight, out of mind, but like you're away from them for so long, you kind of lose that emotional, mental, and physical intimacy. I think this is a great way to keep that connection, that fire, if you will, alive.
Yeah, and if the tech's there, why wouldn't you use it? In fact, then why wouldn't you use it? Because I mean, what I'm leading into, of course, there are dangers, aren't there, to all this stuff?
Yeah.
Ooh, great question.
There are. There's privacy and security issues, as with all tech. Yeah, you have to take that in consideration. And I think particularly with what we're talking about, the more sexually orientated toys, personal data that you could be giving away, for example, where you are, what you're doing, the intimate signals you're sending, actually, you wouldn't want to do that. So that rather defeats the aim of the kind of, one-to-oneness of it. So basically read the data policies very carefully before you sign up to these connected toys, of any type.
Are there certain apps and toys that you do recommend that you have found in your research to be, I mean, nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's going to be perfect, but that you find to be I don't know, I guess a better use right now that's been tested and
Well,
approved?
the fact is, actually, if you go into any special shop that deals with intimate toys, yes, of that nature, there's actually really quite a wide range nowadays. Yeah, there used to be one or two, and then it's actually really flourished, and partly I think again across COVID and lockdown periods. So there's so many different types. I think it's such a personal choice. Yeah, what you're going to go for. Yeah, whether it's something, more full on, or whether it's something gentle and actually just connecting in vibration ways or whatever. So I think it is a couple trip to go when they're together physically and have a really good look and work out what's personal for them, would work well for them together. Because it's you've got to both agree to be doing that and feel okay about it. So I'd say
Yes, consent is
I'd say
important.
it's one of those Sunday or whatever trips out that you can get some time together and have some fun choosing.
Yeah, and that can, yeah, exactly. Just the fun of choosing. It's all part, that is part of intimacy in itself, isn't it? That lovely fun day out. You have a lovely meal on the way home or something like that. So
Yeah, and that's linked into the whole thing of consent as well. That you've made a joint mutual consent around what you're doing together as
but
well.
of course,
so.
be careful with those terms and conditions. Be careful what you're
Yes.
signing up for. I mean, because I'm wary about even just connecting a new pair of Bluetooth earbuds, let alone anything else that's going to go anywhere else. Oh, do I want to do this? Really? Yeah, exactly.
Every time your phone needs an update, you're like, are you fixing a bug or are you adding a bug? Yeah.
So buyer beware, definitely. And what we're going to do now is just move on and talk about weddings. And I'm sure in your experiences, Leah, that weddings rarely get any bigger than those in India. I don't know, in Bridechilla, have you done a lot of coverage of weddings in different cultures? Or, I mean, maybe you're completely US-centric, but I don't know. Do you feature those well known to be very big spectacles that are weddings in India?
Yeah, actually, we had a wonderful planner. She is based in the U.S., but she is Indian and she specializes in Indian weddings. So we have discussed that, and I'm not sure when this episode is dropping, but we do have a guest coming up that will be talking about specifically Polish and certain European weddings as well, because there's a lot of cultural traditions with that. So we do. I mean, we are a global community here at Bridechilla, even though I, as the host, am U.S. based.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. So India, the home of massive weddings, as you may well have heard on Bridechilla, and India, of course, a home for massive technology as well. So you bring those together, and there's a big appetite for wedding tech, if you like, wedding technology in India. And this is where we're going to hear from Chhavi Sachdev. So she's one of our expert contributors. So dear Bridechilla listeners, you've already met Ghislaine there as well, but our regular Somewhere on Earth listeners will know Chhavi very well. She's been looking into the wedding tech scene in India, where matrimony really is big business.
As most of our listeners probably already know, the big fat Indian wedding is a thing. The Indian wedding market is estimated to be worth $130 billion annually, which makes it the second largest in the world. We have an estimated 10 million weddings every single year, which can range from costing a few thousand to $600 million, as we witnessed last year when industrialist Mukesh Ambani's son got married. The industry involves dozens of vendors, right? From wedding venues and hotels and catering to DJs, henna artists, decorators, musicians, florists, drivers, photographers, stylists, designers, invitation designers, if you're the Ambanis, private jets, and of course, every bride and groom's lean-to, the wedding planner. A wedding planner usually charges 10 to 15% of the wedding's budget. So a lot of couples are thinking, do they need a human planner when tech solutions exist? Here comes the wedding planning app. So some apps are exclusively for finding and shortlisting vendors. You can input your city, budget, and then look through portfolios that match your criteria. Wedding Bazaar lists 92,500 makeup artists with testimonials. What about planning a pre-wedding photo shoot? In what order do you need the photographs taken? Who's included, who's not? You can get a checklist or a toolkit for planning everything. Apps like Wedding Wire and Wedding Happy include trackers for wedding budgets and spending. Others, like Wed Me Good, can get you started with your wedding invitation style. Do you want origami folding temple designs or anime avatars? You can browse and decide. Appy Couple and Vivahit help create customized wedding invitations and also RSVP sites so you can manage your guest list. And they also host wedding photo albums that guests can contribute to. So far, what we're not seeing is gift registries, but I'm sure that will happen sooner than later. For some couples, a semi-DIY wedding then is more attractive. It costs less and affords a lot more creative control. But a wedding planner I talked to said there's absolutely no downtick in how many inquiries and jobs she's getting. For so many Indians, it's the event of a lifetime, with a lot of moving parts. And people just want someone else to take care of it all. From Mumbai, this is Chhavi Sachdev.
So that's Chhavi in Mumbai there, as you heard. And lots to get into there. Leah, what did you make of that? There's so much scope for a bit of technology there, isn't there? And all that wedding planning, the budgetary kind of thing, and even helping you with your, what was it, kind of origami wedding stationery?
Yeah,
something for everyone.
That is something for everyone, really. And I'm really surprised that they didn't have registry on there yet. Because I would have thought that would have been one of the first things, because that's such an important app tool that's already being used in weddings. But I think it makes sense, especially when you have a large-scale wedding, like an Indian wedding, which is, typically 400 or 500 people plus on average, from my experience with friends in the community. And so having a tool like that to try to organize everything, because there's so many vendors involved. We spoke with the previous guest, Jamie, when it comes to just getting your seating charts, and you have a guest count of that high, trying to organize that. An app like that is so beneficial.
Yeah. And so you mentioned registry there as well then. So that is an app then. This is a widely used wedding app, is it?
There are a lot of apps you can use for registry. On Bridechilla, I previously had the owner of Honey Fund, because honeymoons are the number one thing for registries now. Because most people are getting married older, and they live together. They have, their blunders. They don't need another one, but they want to put money towards a fantastic honeymoon. And a lot of honeymoons aren't like what we knew of it even 10 years ago. Like, people are taking 2 weeks to travel Africa, South America, Asia. It's not just your typical, like, hop, skip, and a jump from your city type of spot, Nothing against Hawaii, which is still fairly big when it comes to honeymoons, but not like it is compared to Greece now, And so instead of asking for things for your home, people are asking for honeymoons. They're asking for money to go towards a down payment of a home, for IVF treatments, for a pet. It's become a lot broader. Even charities. I had Vows for Girls, Clay Dunn, on Bridechilla as well, and we talked about how you can set up charities as part of your registry and give back to others as part of your day, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, so get married and do something really good for the world as well.
Yeah.
And again, like tech and apps can help us do that.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
Hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle. Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
So, Glenn, where do you see this going then? This, like hybrid weddings, virtual reality must be coming in if it's not already.
Well, yes, definitely. There's lots of stuff happening. But just to say, in a way, this isn't new. The first wedding to be done at a distance was done by telegram in 1876, when a couple actually did a telegram wedding. And nowadays, of course, what we do know is that since the 1990s, and many listeners will know this, that churches and religious establishments of all types have been streaming and using multi-camera views for their followers, for services, for live chat, for prayer features, even for confession.
Because when you said Telegram, I thought you meant Telegram the app. I thought it was the first one was in 2018.
But the traditional Telegram makes sense.
The real, original, distance messaging,
Which makes sense, because if you're separated from loved ones during times of war, for example, that's a great way to get the word out.
It's like, do you stop?
Yes.
Take this. Stop. I do. Stop. Those were the days.
But did you find an uptick in this? Because I know from my perspective that online weddings and doing live streaming really skyrocketed because of COVID.
Yes, absolutely. That's totally it. They pivoted fast, actually. And a lot of the mega churches were ready, but loads of others got sorted. Multi-camera feeds, live chats, digital guest books for weddings, and actually, of course, for funerals, for baptisms, etc. as well. So, and many of those have kept their options in place. So the option is there. You might find your local church or your local temple or whatever has everything in place. You've just got to say, do you stream? And they'll probably go, yes. Yeah. So sacred rituals have gone digital. That's completely clear. So, but of course there are a number of specific platforms, and just like were mentioned in the interview there with Chhavi, but there's various ones which are Vibrella and Jess Morsey weddings, where you can book time for a VR or virtual world wedding. You get lookalike avatars made. You actually get NFT wedding certificates.
Yes.
And actually, one thing I think it's important to say is that what you mentioned about couples getting wed later, also what these platforms are finding is that a lot of what they get is vow renewals. So people who want to renew their vows and say, hey, we're still loving each other, we're still here in this, and maybe for new friends or for family that's grown around them. So, and guests attend from all over the world and get front row seats. And of course, this is really helpful for families that are in 2 or 3 different countries. Really helpful for those that are more senior or guests that can't travel due to ill health or other reasons as well. So, lots of stuff happening.
Okay, I am fascinated by the virtual reality, the VR wedding, because I have not experienced this yet. It hasn't really been talked about at all on Bridechilla yet. So can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yes, so most VR headsets like Oculus, MetaQuest can be used for those immersive experiences for a VR platform. VR Chat, Horizon World, Somnium Space let users attend in a 360-degree environment, so you can look around you. And actually what they will do, and this is at cost, of course, is they can allow custom-built virtual venues to be made. So you could say, have your wedding on your favourite beach, or have a fantasy place like an underwater cathedral or a horror or a fairy tale castle, depending what your taste is. So, and these they're quite technical setups. One thing I would say is for the guests going in, if they're first time users of VR, it's really good to have a test run. It might be good to have a pre-wedding party, to actually because you end up spending quite a lot of time finding how to navigate yourself and orientate yourself. And But the setups can be done. But also, of course, the streaming ones, you know, are there. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Zoom. Those are slightly easier. Yeah, but people are much more used to those. But a lot of these places like VR Chat and Decentraland are ready for this now. So some of them do require VR. Others, we can just go in as we do on video conferencing. There's been quite a few good examples now, particularly since 2020. It's really been growing.
I think the tech space in weddings and events has grown tremendously thanks to COVID. Not thanks to, but you know what I mean? Like, it really helped pivot technology. And I reference one of my favorite books. I always reference it, is Who Moved My Cheese? In companies of all types, you know, you had to pivot really fast. And if you didn't, you floundered or just completely died,
absolutely.
Right? And so in the tech space, you had to really pivot and figure out a way to make things happen for people. And as much as COVID was awful on so many levels, one positive we can say from it is it helped connect us in a stronger way.
No, I think that's been very positive. I think a lot of families have continued having their, you know, regular video conferences, say between UK and the US or Australia or whatever, where they much more than they did before. And I think things like grandparents being able to see their grandchildren more regularly has been really important.
Oh, good point.
So
and I suppose what the pandemic did is it normalized it for many of us, you know. So yeah, in my job, not even I did that much video conferencing before the pandemic, and of course within a few weeks it just became normal. And I'm sure you must have found it yourself, Leah, with weddings as well, that people would just thought, okay, so this pre-wedding get-together or whatever, you know, it's on Zoom, right? Okay, fine. Yeah, it's part of it.
It also really, and this is, I don't want to call it a trend anymore. It's really just been now here to stay, but it escalated micro weddings and elopements because you were forced to have a smaller count of people, and it gave you an excuse to not have to have that huge wedding if you didn't want one. Like, introverts were super stoked about this, right? Like, I don't want all this attention on me. And now you have your excuse. The pandemic, you know, said I can only have 20 people here. I'm sorry, you know.
All your friends said,
but
hey, the
now
pandemic's
it's the
over.
mainstay.
Now we can have a massive party. No, I don't want one.
Yeah. But now it's kind of like the new normal. Like, not everyone's having the huge 100+ wedding anymore. They're wanting that. And elopements are number one right now. Huge.
Wow, I didn't know that at all.
Elopements are big.
And I can see how that could be helped by all of this, I mean, because you can, of course, there's the hybrid version, which is you do have a physical wedding, but you are also putting it out on Zoom or possibly linking it into a metaverse, combining it, So then you could just be the two of you, and obviously this is important to say, actually, you do always need to include a legally valid person, you know, who's in person, a registrar, And Zoom, however, has a license for binding. Via official offices, they'll help you to find and make that connection. And some people do the legal version, you know, on their own, the two of them or whatever, quickly, and then actually do a kind of second one again, which is in Zoom or in VR, etc., when the guests come. So there is these layers, these hybrid layers happening.
And how important is it to make the technology transparent, as it were? In other words, I suppose most couples wouldn't want people, say, in 10 years' time to say, oh, the fidelity on that metaverse link, that was the best part of that wedding. They want to remember the vows and the speeches and the joy and the sentiment and almost forget about the technology. How possible is that?
I think it is, but it goes back to my point about possibly having practice run if you're not used to using these things, because otherwise, I mean, I remember there was an immersion work where you could go into it. It was a Shakespeare piece that was being done, and you could become a little star and zoom around the space while it was happening. And I was in there and I made a little star for myself and I was zooming around. But there was about 1,000 stars in there and I couldn't work out which one was me. And I'm actually quite used to doing interactive space stuff. So there is, you know, I spent a lot of time in that actually trying to work out where my star was rather than actually getting engrossed in the theatre, the immersive theatre piece. Yes. So we're still learning a lot about navigation within virtual space. And every tool, every platform has got slightly different instructions about how you move around, how you go, look 360, can be very disconcerting for people who are not used to it. So I think probably my favourite one of these for being able to do it with a wide range of guests, including senior people who are not necessarily, is to go for video conferencing ones, because obviously we are, like we said, using that a lot more.
Excellent.
Actually, with that, another thing that came out of COVID was a whole new vendor in the wedding space, and that's the content creator. Because you mentioned Facebook before and things like that. People want their full video and have, if they want to have the live, but they also, we're so instant with our technology now. And with things like TikTok and Instagram, people want to be able to see it right away. So the content creator is now another vendor on top of your photographer and videographer, where they're behind the scenes capturing all these moments and then putting together these quick reels and carousel videos or photos and that for you.
Getting them out straight
away.
Yeah,
because you want the instant tech.
Catch up with them. Yeah. So not just having your archive, afterwards, which of course these VR and Zoom ones do supply you with an archive version, but having something which is going straight out.
And I would say one of the best things about that is hopefully it persuades people at the event just to put their phones away, because again you probably see this all the time, and it's really annoying, isn't it, that you might have this really beautiful thing that's unfolding in front of you, maybe the first dance or the first kiss after the I do's and so on, and everyone's just seeing it through their phone. You've just got a sea of hands holding their phones up. To me, nothing kills a moment more than that. I just wonder if maybe at weddings now people are saying, look, we have a professional content person here. So folks, just be in the moment with us here in this room, sharing this lovely day, and let the content creator worry about getting the perfect shot.
They have started. I mean, I shouldn't say they have started. They've been doing this for a few years now, but a lot of people will have signs up saying this is an unplugged ceremony. Because too many times, not only your point, Gareth, because that's a big one, but another thing that tends to happen is, and you've probably maybe seen this at a wedding, where the photographer is about to get that first kiss or the ring exchange, and some guest steps right in front of them with their cell phone
with a great
and
big
blocks
tablet
the
computer.
Photographer's shot. Oh, it's infuriating to me when I see that.
I've seen it, yeah.
Oh,
you don't want that.
I have
right?
to, yeah.
Like,
All right, damn it, we'll just get married all over again, just so we can have a decent take on that, please.
Do you know how much money they just spent on that photographer and you just hijack that? Like, that's not fair.
Yeah.
Hijack's the right word, actually. It's hijacking, isn't it?
Yeah, Wi-Fi
You
jacking.
owe them $3,000 for that shot right there.
Right, yeah. If you make it a monetary penalty, people will see, pay us in Bitcoin. Here's my wallet. Right. So, Ghislaine, just while we have you, just for another couple of minutes, what about other considerations that we need to take into account? Because, you've got the technical, maybe limitations of the venue, data costs, price in general. What should be, just before we get too excited, tell us how we should all just be sensible.
I mean, the cost can be a lot less. There's one quote is $300, so you can do it very basically. But there was one, a huge one in Decentraland, which I think cost $30,000, because of course you can do lots of interactive elements, and that I guess is another vendor in your word, Leah, which is like setting up treasure hunts, in the virtual world, and interactive dance floors, and lots of virtual clothes being made. And I read one about, the husband he was Indian, wanted to arrive on an elephant. Well, you couldn't do that in real life, but he had one made in a virtual elephant to ride into the wedding on. Of course, that cost less than the real elephant, but it still costs, virtual rice for throwing after the vows. And it's a bit surreal, the whole thing, but it is actually very personalised, because you can really say what you want. Few couples have done it with branding, so they get money back for the input. If you want a brand all over your wedding, you can get some money from that towards your wedding, brand placements. And then there's some lovely stories about holograms, which of course are much more expensive. But there was one in Yorkshire where a bride surprised her husband with a hologram of his late father, which was life-sized, and walked towards them on the dance floor. And that was very uncanny. And in Korea, they're using 3D holograms and AR now, not a lot, but it's definitely coming in, and it's an offer that's there. So you have these offers which make a hybrid, and often contactless, because everybody's virtual, or you can have the hybrid with the physical and the virtual happening. And I think it can go with your imagination, really, how what your dream has been, whether it's your wedding dress or whether it's riding an elephant in, like I mentioned.
Okay, I have a question for both of you, based off of what you just said, Glenn. What is your personal opinion on couples having brand deals, doing branding of companies, organizations, whatever, at their wedding?
Oh, I suppose if that's what they want to do. I feel as if I should be very, high-minded here and say, I think it's an affront. But no, if it's, to be honest, if I don't know, if a big car brand is helping them cover their honeymoon and, perhaps they could just put the money towards their children's future instead of just blowing it on something unnecessary as part of the wedding. I don't know. I wouldn't do it myself, but, I reserve people's right to do that if they want to.
Yeah, no, I do see that it could help certain people with money, with the budget. But I personally would not do that at all, no. Because actually that, in a way, for me, does the opposite to what these offers are enabling, which is that detailed personalisation, which happens in physical weddings, of course, but which can happen maybe in a super fantasy way within these virtual world weddings. So, no, keep branding out for me. I even have problems with water bottles that are branded on panel tables.
Okay.
So I don't think, we should be distracting with branding.
And don't get me wrong, I think it might just set the wrong tone if you walked into a wedding and it was sponsored by a defence company or a tobacco company. So I might draw the line at that, to be honest. How about you, Leah, if I might just throw it back at you, because it's a fascinating question.
Yeah, I'm with you, Gareth. We're I can see how the money can go towards things in a positive way, but I agree with you. It takes away the personal. It can almost come across as tacky, and what if you stop support? Okay, what if you're cool with that brand right now, but say they don't agree with you politically, religiously, whatever, in a year or two from now, and that's forever going to be branded on your weddings, and you can't disassociate yourself from that, because I think of politics here in America right now, we've been boycotting Target and Amazon and all that, some of us, with based on your political viewpoint. What if you had them as your brand at your wedding, and then now you no longer align? I don't know. I think it's a fine line.
Well, that could be awkward. Yeah. Oh, there's a technology answer. Get your old Photoshop. You can just airbrush out the offending logo.
There's always a tech answer.
It's probably breaking some massive
Photoshop
contract.
for the win.
Their lawyers will be all over you if you try it. Yeah, that's the trouble, isn't it?
Well, Photoshop already gets used at weddings when people invite their dates and then they break up a month after the wedding. And it's can you Photoshop Bill out of the picture? He's no longer dating Betty.
You've got loads.
Why is he in this family photo?
You've got loads of stories, haven't you, Leah?
Can you just Photoshop the bride out of these shots, actually? It didn't work out, So, it's... Well, on that happy nuptial note, maybe we should leave it for this bit. There will be some more bonus content, and we're well and truly warmed up now, folks, as you can tell. So Lord knows what's going to happen when we come back for a bit of podcast extra. But for now, Glenn, obviously, thank you. And Leah, who do you need to thank from Bridechilla? Who are your people? Who do we need to know?
My people are. I want to give a special thank you to engineer and co-producer Graciana Longfellow, executive producers Bridget Coyne and Gerardo Orlando, and Megan Ely of OFD Consulting. And shout out to the OG, the creator of Bridechilla, Alicia McCormick.
All right.
And of course, Evergreen Podcasts, who is Gareth. That's our
Evergreen Podcast. They brought us together.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the matchmakers here. So we are part of proud members, as you can tell, massively proud members. We're so proud we've actually got married. Members of the Evergreen Podcast Network, and we don't have as many people to thank for you. I think the Bridechilla side. You've got quite a big entourage there on your side of the wedding. Ours is a bit smaller. It is production manager Liz Toohey. It's editor, CEO. And the founder and everybody important, Anya Turovic, Glenn, who you've met already, and I'm Gareth. And that'll do for this one. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Leah. I've loved these 2 episodes, by the way, and I've loved meeting your beautiful Bridechilla listeners. So let's stay in touch.
And thanks, everyone from Somewhere on Earth podcast as well.
It's been lovely. I do. Bye, everyone.
This is History's Heroes, People with purpose, brave ideas, and the courage to stand alone, including a pioneering surgeon who rebuilt the shattered faces of soldiers in the First World War.
You know, he would look at these men and he would say, "Don't worry, Sonny, you'll have as good a face as any of us when I'm done with you."
Join me, Alex von Tunzelmann, for History's Heroes. Subscribe to History's Heroes wherever you get your podcasts.